but instead I'm wearing a Bloomsburg men's soccer coat. As many of you know, my mom and dad are sports fanatics. They support all Philadelphia teams. You can find them at Devon Ave on the sidelines for high school boys and girls soccer games, in the Heights gym for basketball games, and they travel all over South Jersey and parts of PA for the grandkids sporting events. So my mom, she called an audible and decided that instead of getting dressed up, she asked us to all wear something sports related. Jeans, Mom. But knowing my mom, this was also probably just an excuse for her not to have to get dressed up. As the only time I see Mom in a dress is at somebody's wedding. She's way more comfortable in a sweatshirt, jeans, and a pair of sneakers. So, before I start talking about Dad, I thought I would do something a little different. My dad wasn't a big drinker by any means, but he always had Coors Light stocked in the family refrigerator. And whenever I would be at the house, he would always ask if I wanted a beer. In the summer, we would have a beer outside in the patio. The TV was usually on with the Phillies or some other sports, and we would sit there and catch up. Sometimes we didn't even say much, but that didn't matter. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. It just feels good to have a cold beer with your old man or your best friend. And he was both. He was my dad, and he was also my best man. And literally, he was the best man in my wedding, a memory I will cherish forever. So today, hope this is okay, I brought a cooler filled with Coors Light, some Cokes, because we also like to drink Coke and water. So if you're interested, let's have a drink while we honor Dad today. For those of you at home joining us virtually, please feel free to do the same. I understand it's only about 10:30, but 5 o'clock somewhere.
Want a beer?
Thanks. A few hours before my dad passed, my mom, my sisters, and I had a chance to sit around Dad while he was resting in a hospital bed in our family room to let him know it was okay to let go, be in peace, and pain-free. See, my dad had been fighting most of his life. And I'm not saying he had a bad life. Mom, I think you agree, he had a great life. But it came with plenty of physical challenges. When my dad was a kid, he had strep throat, but eventually led to him having kidney failure when he was in his 20s. My mom and dad were married with Jody at the time, but his kidneys were failing so much that water would seep out of the pores of his legs. If he didn't have a kidney transplant, he would have died. I will forever be grateful for his brother, my Uncle Tom, for giving him one of his kidneys. If it wasn't for him, my dad would most likely have died at the age of 27, and Jamie, Julie, and I wouldn't be here. Unfortunately, Uncle Tom passed away a few years ago, but I would like to say thank you, Uncle Tom. True story. The night before Dad passed, my brother-in-law Joe and I were sleeping in the family room with Dad, and in Dad's sleep, he kept talking to Tom. The first time my dad said the name Tom that night, Joe and I both sat up and confirmed what we were hearing. It gave us goosebumps for sure. So I have absolutely no doubt that Dad is now with his family. Dad was one of the first kidney transplant patients at Lourdes Hospital in December of 1975, and he was able to maintain kidney function for over 45 years, which is a miracle in itself and pretty much unheard of. I actually Googled how long can one expect a kidney transplant to last, and on average, it should last only 10 to 12 years. But to maintain the kidney, Dad had to take hundreds of thousands of pills over the years. You could probably make a pharmaceutical rep's quota in about a week. Over time, those pills did damage to his bones, which required him to have both hips replaced twice, led to stenosis of his back, his fingers and toes curled up. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's and eventually melanoma, which spread to his internal organs. But no matter the situation, my dad never ever complained. I would call to check in, and it was always, yeah, I feel good. How are you, Tara, and the kids? A couple of times I even asked, I said, all right, Dad, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being a lot of pain, what are you? And he'd say, oh, about a 9, but I feel good. Just amazing. Even during the last 2 weeks, he didn't complain. I imagine it was tough for him to rely on one of us to feed him, bathe him, help him to the bathroom, and literally carry him from the bed to the chair. But my dad was an incredible man. He was always saying thank you, tried to stay positive, and told us several times that he loved us. All right, so there we were, sitting around my dad, and my mom, as she rubbed the scruff he had grown on his face, had some beautiful words to say to Dad. And Mom, I want to say that the way you helped Dad, not just in these past couple of weeks, but really these past several years, has been nothing short of heroic, and I know Dad really appreciated it. But when she was done and it was my turn, all I could say to my dad was, thank you for everything. And as I was driving home after he passed, I was thinking about that moment, and I thought to myself that I really dropped the ball. I mean, there's Dad, my best man, on his deathbed, and all I could say was thank you for everything. But as I continue to reflect on that moment, what I would like to believe is that what I said was perfect, honest, and it was meant to be said. See, my dad had a tremendous influence on my life in helping me become the person that I am today. I would also say that he had a strong influence on my sisters and how they carried themselves. So I am truly thankful for everything that he's taught me and he's instilled in me. Dad taught me the importance of family and being an involved parent. When we were kids, he coached all of our sports teams, drove us all around for practices, games, tournaments, and he attended choral concerts and band competitions. If we were participating in an activity, he was always there. And I know for me that meant a lot. I love seeing my parents at a game and hearing them ring their cowbells when our team scored a goal. Although I love that he coached my teams, what I remember the most are the notes he would leave me when he was extra proud of something I did, or a note for additional encouragement. Or when after a game we would talk about what I did well, but more importantly, how I could improve. I find myself having the same conversations with my girls after soccer games, softball games, and even cheerleading, although I'm not quite sure if they appreciate the constructive criticism as much as I do. Dad was also just as involved as a grandparent. Mom and Dad attended countless numbers of games for the grandkids, church pageants, school events, and dance recitals. Although my mom, she'll tell you that she was happy when dance ended for the girls. One year they kept track and totaled over 4,000 miles in their car just to go watch their grandkids' events. But what I will miss are the phone calls he made to me and Kayla just to see how they were doing or to ask them about their first day of school, how they did on a test, a practice, or a game. As a family in the summer, Dad and Mom always took us on 2 vacations. 1 week was spent in Ocean City, New Jersey, and another week was somewhere else that usually included a place with an amusement park. The 6 of us drove down to Disney World in a station wagon, went to Tennessee, Virginia, Niagara Falls, California, and even Vegas. Well, you know the saying, what happens in Vegas with us crazy Durhams stays in Vegas. Those trips were awesome, but I think my sisters and I would all agree that some of our best memories were our week at Ocean City. During those weeks, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, and friends would visit. It was an amazing week filled with family and friends. Dad taught me the importance of hard work. In his younger years, I found that Dad had a hard time sitting still. On the weekends, he didn't sleep in. He was always cleaning something, doing yard work, washing the car, taking us to a ball field to practice, you name it. But when he was working on something, he didn't cut corners, and he did it the right way. My sisters and I had chores to do around the house, and my main chore was cleaning the bathroom. But Dad wouldn't let me just spray the tub down and rinse it. He'd make me get on my hands and knees and scrub it and use some elbow grease, because that was the right way. I find myself cleaning my bathroom in my house the same way now, because that's how he taught me. I also find myself applying the life lesson of of working hard and doing things the right way, even if it's not the easy way. And that's thanks to Dad. Dad taught me how to be a devoted husband and showed me what a solid partnership looked like. Tara, I hope you agree with that comment. Most of you probably know this, but my parents were high school sweethearts. They started dating their junior year while attending Haddon Heights High School, and pretty much have been together ever since. When I think of Mom and Dad, the word that comes to mind is inspiring. The love and support that they have for each other is inspiring. The love and support they have for our families is inspiring, and their constant faith is inspiring. As kids growing up, to be able to see how they treated each other with respect, love, and as best friends was invaluable and is something that I try to replicate. They recently celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. And for the past 50 plus years, they did everything together. They cooked together, did yard work together, watched and attended sporting events together, grocery shopping together, doctor's visits, and they went on amazing vacations as they traveled the world together. And although they slowed down just a little, you'll always find Mom and Dad together. I find Tara and I are doing the same things together, and it's probably in part because I watched Mom and Dad doing them while growing up. But most importantly, Dad showed me what it was like to be a genuinely good, kind, nice person. Over the past couple weeks, I've gotten phone calls and messages from friends and family describing Dad as a true gentleman, great guy, fun to talk to, a fighter, a truly great man, the best, hell of a guy, sweet, kind, sincere, and a man with a pure soul. I would imagine that most of you would also say the same, and each of you probably has had some unique positive experience when interacting with my dad. Dad taught me to look a person in the eye when speaking with him and how to give a firm handshake. And I also remember as a kid that he always took time to say hi to our neighbors. One day, a buddy of mine, Jeremy, and I were on our bikes heading towards Copley Road, and I must have said hi to 4 different neighbors. When we stopped at the stop sign, Jeremy wanted to know why I was saying hi to everyone. And I just remember saying, because that's what my dad does. It's funny because when I'm driving through my development now with my kids, they'll find me waving to people, and they've asked me, do you know that? And sometimes I don't, and then they'll ask, well, why are you waving? And I'll tell them, because it's the nice thing to do. It's what my dad did. Before I close, I would like to thank my wife Tara and my brother-in-laws David, Joe, and Bill. These past few weeks have been emotionally and physically challenging as we cared for Dad, and you all provided amazing support for my mom, my sisters, and I. I would also like to thank all my dad's friends and church caregivers. My mom read to Dad at every card that you sent, and all the food that was shared was awesome and very much appreciated. And in fact, if you want to start shipping food out to Shillington, where I live, I'll give you my address. With that said, if you could all raise your drink, please. Dad, we love you, and we will miss you. And Dad, thank you for everything.